Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick here with you as always. Thanks for joining us for episode number 88. So today we've got a whiskey that I've held on to for a little while now, and it's from Tuthilltown Spirits in Gardner, New York. We're very close to where I work over the summer, and we have the Hudson, New York corn whiskey. I do want to preface this review by saying that the little wax seal that was around here was absolutely ridiculous to try to get off. I sat there with a knife, and well, actually I didn't have a knife on me. I do now, but I had a pen, paper clip, fingernails, every sort of thing trying to get the wax off. It was covering this whole entire thing, and it wasn't like other wax seals where you have like a little tab where you can sort of peel it around and then get it off. That's not what was going on here. I eventually chipped away at it. If you can see, there's a little bit still on there, but to get this off, it's like they wanted, I know it's only 375 milliliters, but they make it really hard for you to go back and get into. So, first thing you may notice is that it's been a long day, so I don't want to push my pouring skills. One of the things you may notice is that it is clear. So it is a corn whiskey, but it's not a bourbon. Why? Because it hasn't been aged at all. So what we've got here is, I believe, 46% alcohol by volume, and it's double distilled and pot stills using corn that's just right down the road. So I believe they get all their grain within, let's say, 15 miles or so, which is really nice. So I actually over the summer went to Tuthilltown Spirits in Gardner because I was only about 45 to an hour away where I work over the summer. So it was nice to be able to tour their facilities, get to try all of their expressions. That's one of the many things I will say is a positive about visiting the distillery, because it's not like you just get 3 samples or something like that, try 3 different expressions, but you try everything, almost everything they have. So all of their whiskeys, all of their, they had a vodka that's made from local apples, which is really interesting, and they have a bunch of other things in there, some mixed drinks they'll make for you using their products, and it's just really great experience. They have a restaurant that's around, so you can really do a lot of things into that time that you visit, not just getting a tour or looking around the gift shop, or the visitor center. But so up until recently, just to backtrack in time, New York really hasn't had a whiskey distillery since before Prohibition. So Tuthilltown coming onto the scene using a really old grist mill, and they sort of bought that and used the land around that and created this brand, the Hudson whiskey. So, and actually a big global player in the whiskey and spirits market, William Grant & Sons, purchased this brand for an undisclosed amount. I still haven't been able to find that, and it's a little bit of a difficulty, I would say, in trying to get information about that. There's a press release that's listed on Tuthilltown Spirits, but there's nothing on William Grant & Sons page saying that they own it, or their website rather, that I've been able to see. So maybe it's tucked away in the site somewhere that I can't find, but anyway, it's a great experience if you can get out to upstate New York, in the Hudson Valley region. It's really a beautiful area, especially in the summer. There's a ton of stuff to do, a lot of mountains, hiking, so I've lived around that area a good part of my life. So anyway, they've got a bunch of different expressions. Like I already said, they make a really great rye. Now initially I was put off by the brand, really, the Hudson whiskey, because it was so expensive for these bottles. The 375 milliliter bottles were going for, I was seeing it 60, 70, 80 bucks, you know, which is a little bit on the higher end that you would expect to pay for a 750 milliliter bottle of corn whiskey or bourbon or something along the same lines. So it was a little bit daunting, and then they started to come down in price. They also started to bottle at 750 milliliters once they got their stock going and all that sort of thing. So I can understand the pricing to begin with, I guess. I mean, most people, newer distilleries, they'll make a gin or a vodka or a rum even to get their funds generating while either their product ages or while they're waiting for decent enough product to bottle. But they went in the route of just, I mean, the corn whiskey you don't have to age. So once they got that down, start selling it. And using smaller barrels, you can get away with a little bit shorter maturation times and that sort of thing. So let's get into it. Again, 46% ABV. It's got a beautiful, beautiful, as you would expect corn-forward nose, but in the sense of a really sweet, overtly sweet candy corn sense to it. There's a lot of buttery popcorn, just beautiful cream corn as well as a candy corn sweetness to it. A really, really strong creaminess, a little hint of vanilla. Just a really refreshing nose for a whiskey like this. Normally, with bourbons and the like, things similar to this, you're going to get the wood interacting in there. So you get the vanillas, the cinnamons, the nutmeg, caramel, that sort of thing. All of that is taken away from this because we don't have any aging. So let's go in for the taste. This is one of those whiskeys that a lot of people will look at and think, oh, this will be interesting because I can taste, you know, what it was like right off the stills. You know, obviously it's cut to proof, but get a taste for what it's like before it's actually aged and becomes the Hudson bourbon whiskey. And a lot of times that's just an experimental thing. It's a one-off thing. They have it for a few years, but this is actually so good that it's just a standard expression that they bottle and sell regularly, which is awesome because it's not like the Jack Daniel's unaged rye where it's a really specific flavor profile that people either really like, or absolutely hate. Or it's one thing that they'll try once and never taste it again because it's very pungent and it's got a lot of strong flavors that you don't typically get with a rye in that instance or any American whiskey for the most part. So this is just an absolutely delicious sipping whiskey. It's got a great like pepper jack notes to it. It's just like pepper kernels. You know, sometimes if you get one of the mixed like pepper shakers that you can grind up and you actually bite into a little piece of that and just get a really spicy, peppery note to it. That's what you're getting on this. And then it mellows out the tongue and the palate with the corn sweet caramel in there. It's just absolutely delicious. I'm glad that they bottled it at 46% because I believe if it were at 40, or if I can measure this in a way where if I added water I would take it down to about 80 proof, I think the finish would not be strong enough, long enough to actually say that this is an exceptional whiskey. The 46% gives it a little bit of that bite that it needs, I believe, and it really counteracts the mellowness of the creamed corn, candy corn sweetness to it. Now, I haven't tasted a lot of unaged corn whiskeys, so it's hard to give it a score. But since everybody loves scores, I will give it a 95, if that helps. So that's it for this week's episode. Tune in next time. We'll be doing something else, maybe along the American whiskey side. I haven't decided yet. Got a few High West bottles we haven't reviewed yet. So until then, if you're going to drink, drink responsibly as always, and we'll see you next time.